Interlinking from cobwebbing is coded weaving lines of track location systems. We have to start identifying our settings now because I'm just moving a seat line, screen lines in my chair location system. You see that? It's a correlation of track lines. All right. So I just moved 45,000 feet per line. See, there's another confirmation. 45,000 feet per line just by moving my chair. There's nothing you can't do in the mind. See, this is where it comes into all of the calculus saying where there's no beginning, there's no end, which means that it's a constant evolving. It has a continuous force line that correlates the track interference into the cerebral cortex line design line that puts everything in its formation screen location to its adaptation lines and its surface. By understanding the interlinking puts everything into inception. Now, the inception is mind and influence. It's understanding how to use the nothingness to understand the awareness of its consciousness becomes its telepathy. And once the telepathy comes in, it comes into telekinesis. Telekinesis is moving that set locations and settings. And then telepathy is a track location to its calculations into its inception. That's the interfacing lines of its mind itself. It's like walking into an energetic bubble and likeness setting in direct signal of center correlation. It's an information cycle where it has so many lines of communication electrical system. So the VR itself is nothing but electrical. Okay? Your body is electrical system. You see what I'm saying here, guys? So if you understand that, then you understand your body is a vessel for levels of receiving and transisting and transforming and getting into that transformation. To understand that if the VR is electrical system, so are you. Now it's just all over the process. How to use that through operation? How do I use my electrical system, right? So, and that's why you have your chakras. I'm trying to get you guys to basic understand how this high volumes you when you look at things. It's the perspective and how things respond back to you. Because energy is energy that comes back. Direct, you're directing, which is redirecting back to you. So that's what it is. It's a conversation between two, right? So you get a communication line's highest interference. They come together, right? So that's how this works. It's like I'm communicating, right? Scanning myself, all line centers ready to go, force field, energy field, I'm ready to go, calculation, right? Scanning the system. So after the scanning is done in position locations, then I approach, right? And then I communicate, right? Because I got eyes locked on. And basically, it's all levels of communication. You come together. So, understanding that is understanding how to come into the interface. Interface is the biggest thing with AI. Awareness of its information, of its nothingness. The nothingness is its mind itself that stays in the set location of its VR system. Everything that you see around you is electrical. Everything you see around you is energy. Everything you see around you is particle. You're made from the same energy, guys, just different DNA. So if you understand that, then you understand what your body is and what it can do through its vessel as it morphs into anything that it wants to see through perspective, not perception. You don't see through perception, that's a structure. If you're in the VR system, how is that in any way informed of perception? So the eyes itself is its own information of its own settings. Everything that you are in connections of, it's its own system of its own settings. So you have to understand that I understand the energy collaboration of me now. So again, metaphorically, as you're mastering yourself is everything informations. Understanding what your fingers are good for. In position track lines, what is the line connection setting? Why are they different? Everything's a different line communications, right? Everything has to be, right? Or you'd be off balance. Okay, so there's a reason why there's a right and there's a left. Right line communication is mother, left is space line is the father, the traffication line communication system. Earth line communication to your body is a 7-line calculation setting dimensional layers. Anything above is the 8-line, right? That's a basic ground communication of 12D and graph calculations, right? But it's all TV. Everything in this setting, you live in a TV world. Now, understanding the interfacing, interlocking, interconnections, interweaving, interwoven, then you get a better understanding to your electrical system. So when you're looking through all levels of projection, everything is looking back at you. So how are you looking at something? Are you responding? Or are you getting into reaction? So it's really interesting because if you get into reaction, now you're in perception. Okay, you're seeing everything in perception because everything that you see around you is protecting its own system. It already knows you through identification. But see, the optical illusion is what you see in front of you. It's not a computer. It's not a phone. It's not a digital pad. Okay? You are not you until you understand you. Everybody that sees everybody around, it is an optical illusion that's protecting you from inside. Okay? Into the VR system. Right? So getting in that communication is really understand how this all works, guys. It's just all basic ground setting locations, all right? Getting into line communication, right? Let's go through energetic graph screens. Okay, just get in modification screen lines and locations. 2 signature screens, right in line position of left. I'm holding the digital pad on 2 panels. This is the panels, right? This is the space. This is the grounds. Okay, see that? 2 panels, right here and here. My fingers are going, right? Space, grounds, center. Okay, grounds, center, space. 1, 2, 3, right? So once you understand that, then you understand the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres of its digital pad. Because it has its own digital layers of its own setting, of its own system. We have to stop seeing things through flat surface because nothing is a set position of a straight line. It looks like a line, but it's not because it's spinning like this. It's spinning like this. It's spinning like this all the way around all the time. Puts that in position of track lines in communication in this calculation. Just show me exactly where to go, right? So I communicate with the digital pad. Digital pad show me exactly how it goes. It flips and, it goes up and down, goes side to side, the binaries, the transistors, the resistors. It gets to know its correlation setting. You start with the north, you start with the east, you start with the west, and you start with the south, right? But you have to understand it's circular and it's rotating. Okay? Nothing is a straight line. It's going too fast. It's just going too fast. And then you add the platforms, right? You already got in that set. Okay, it's very simple, right? Then we walk the platforms and track location. Right? Then we have the sun and the moon comes in position to its location. It's very powerful. And then you are here in calculation system, right? Waving. Hey, I'm here. Hey, hello, how you doing? So it's me connecting to me. How you doing? How's it going? Right? So that's the connection, right? So if you understand that, then you understand the system correlation settings when you can vortex from here to here and everywhere in track location. I'm just showing you exactly how powerful it is of what you can do through calculation, right? From here to here, right? So this is a volume of view. This is another volume of view and 2 different lines of different communications, screen lines, adaptations. That's where it correlates the track lines from one position to another calculation. So once you understand that, everything gets a lot more easier to understand how to see yourself sitting in a chair. And basically the chair is giving you data, it's giving you instructions, and it's giving you codes right away. Whether you understand that or not, it's in the VR system because this does not leave. This always stays in the nothingness. The nothingness is the VR system. It's the mind of space, that there's no separation in between. Anything that you see around you is connected to you, right? Through its highway. This chair has a highway. My phone has a highway. Your computer has a highway. Everything has the highway. And what is that information of? Travel. Travel. Okay, through the energetic system. So the more you understand the ground lines and communication lines of surface, less platitude and lines of 3 tractions and settings. They all correlate calculation. Direct lines of grounds, powers, and the atmospheres, right? Grounds, powers, atmospheres of the digital pad. Now the digital pad has to recognize what I'm doing through my finger points. Hello, right? Fingers, digital pad, in position, draw. Collaboration, partnership, inception, going into the mind, minds, heart, heart. See? Connection lines of the soul, body. Everything has a body. Of the grounds, powers, and atmospheres. Okay? So I want you guys to understand how real that is when you get into application of 2-line division, 1 cycle calculation settings, and a 3-track locations to a 1-track location. 8 center correlations, all through finger point. 1 finger travel line rotations goes through 1 cycle. So it's a figurative in rotation, surface, and track location lines and measures and scales and balance and communication. But it understands the track location. Everything that you see has an impulse. Now, you probably don't think that this digital pad doesn't have a heart. You're wrong. Everything has a center, right? Has impulses. It's electrical impulse to the grounds, powers, and the atmospheres. Everything's a frequency. But this always stays where it needs to be, is its nothingness. The mind of the space of the nothingness. Oh, a flag. Look at that. Playing golf. 4. Right? So it's really interesting where you can basically adapt to the systems and really understand its communication to its own digital pad screens. It opens up all levels of high calculation settings and variety. Let's go through window screen adaptation lines of surface. Graph communications lines of 4-track location lines of 6. 6 over lines of 1 in position of 2 tractions. Directing lines of 1 into 4 tractions. And position lines of high center interference of 1 and 3 tractions. Now, direct line signals correlate to high interferences. Crossing line signals in a 3-track location. Direct modifications in 1 cycle line coordinate setting and 1 center interference. Indirect applications in calculation 1 ground line center and center communication. Directing lines in line communications in process calculation. All right? Pretty amazing, right? But if you look really close, you can see the effect coming out. It's like shards coming out of a graph. See? So to understand that, don't look at this, look at me. That's the way you see it come out. It comes out. But you can't see it if you see this. You have to go me or the dimension of the wall, right? So the more, if you look here, this and this moves, okay? You'll see general move and the picture move because you're looking back further. And then inventory is going 4, 4, 4, back, 4, 4, 4, back, direct, redirect. That's what the team has to get into, is understand how to direct and redirect, how they communicate with each other, the conversation locations and settings, all through theta communication, right? So don't look at this, look at me, then you actually see it come out. Okay? See it come out. All right? You can actually see it come out of a TV screen or a box frame or a graph screen, right? All right. So it is an optical illusion, but the illusion is what makes it real. And once you understand that, it's not an optical illusion, which is no longer a perception. So you're just constantly seeing what you see in a VR system. Everything in the VR system is nothing but logical, even the grounds, okay? Even the stairs, plateaus, telepads, I mean, there's so many correlations. Helipads. I mean, there's direct lines to calculation. The more you see yourself in the VR, the more you understand how to operate your system in the VR system locations. But I just wanted to show you how powerful it is, how you see things coming out of frame of a T reception or a box frame or a main frame or anything correlation, right? It's trippy, isn't it? How you see it, right? Don't look at this, look at me, okay? All right, so in that position line centers, let's go through point graph screens and direct signals. Tractors, correlations, and highest interference in line communication of docking centers in track location. All right, so it's concentrics, right? Because we're bringing the X3000s coming in. Scan position, cross line screens, dock 1, and line cross line jump scar. Vortex line screens, adaptation lines of surface. Calculate modified. And this is all done in the VR line. So everything is a VR line rotation center that puts everything in a track location of center communications. So the track communication of the X3000s are just getting in communications to its design, getting comfortable with what you're doing in your drawing sequence. So what that does is it go through light signatures and graph communications, interactions, right? Direct lines of 1, in set position of 2, 3, and 4 set locations, right? So it's getting really interesting now, how it just changes everything with formations. Okay, and then you cross the signals on a 45 line screen and direct signals. To know exactly to see yourself in the VR system, you have to really understand everything in settings. Okay, so we can eyeline some locations. Let's put another eyeline rotation surface. There's the intelligence. It's the intelligence location inside calculations, right? So it puts everything in line communication settings when you come in now correlation. Now you can add position attractions. That opens all signals in calculation system of travel. Start with the ground lines. Oh, geez, confirmation cycles, right? Then we get the ground line, shift line, cross line screens, crosses line sent location to higher lines of travels. But everything is division line of direction. Everything links with everything else. Interlink, interwove, interconnection, interface. It's an inception that you guys have to understand through frames of a TV receptor. Okay, this is inside a TV. See, when you guys are sleeping, this is what's happening with your TVs. They're in their own modulation of space and time. So even if you turn off the TV, it's still on. So let's go through graph correlation setting attractions. Let's go into coloration. Let's go into pixelation graphs. Now the core center line interference, I'm going to set lines of panels. You're going to see this screen lines adaptation. This is security line that protects everything in track location at 2 reception lines and a 24 line screen and direct signal. Okay. Now we're going to cross line screens and a 45 line in rotation surface and track location to its settings all through its operation. Okay. Now it's going to get really trippy. Now I'm going to add the blue line cross line screen lines, over cross, over lines, over screen, over directions, all over the computer operation line settings. Puts all of its operation location system how you see through dimension of space and time and tractions. Okay. It's trippy, isn't it? It's a totally different design, isn't it? So I'm just showing you, how we have communication line screens. So, and then we go into the white, which is your cloak and dagger. You start with the ground line communication structure line division. So when the team goes into the inception of their T receptors, they get a better understanding how this all works through your electrical settings in locations to a system, all through calculation of its travel. Okay. So what you understand, it's like going to the theater, put on those glasses, and things coming at you through the screen. Well, that's what we're coming into. The only difference is you're going to see it come out in your real-time set locations. Okay. So what is standing out right now? What do you see that's coming out of the screen? This. Okay. This. Okay. So if I shade in screens and direct lines of settings, you're going to see it travel on its own system of correlation. Then you're actually going to see it come in its own formation location to its settings. Okay. It's pretty amazing when you actually can do these things through track locations. Waving central lines and correlation lines of track location setting. I'm waving my hands, 4 lines of generation and 5 location setting to my thumb, which is the moon. The moon's tracking the correlations of Wi-Fi, tracking lines of satellite communication setting to white, blue, and red, that puts position lines of highest interference in travel in communication setting and position its operation system. Keypad. Keypad. 2 keypads, but you see coming out, right? All right. So if I face it this way, what do you see in transients, right? You have to see it on a 4-way line cycle. It's the only way you can. Okay. So it's pretty powerful because it doesn't look anything up close, but when you bring it afar, you can actually see it come out, right? So it's an inception of the mind. The mind itself volumes online of all communication to an online grid that positions your settings and how you see things come out through design. Okay, through the white, the blue, and the red. So as long as you understand the white is the cloak and dagger, the blue is your force field, and the red is your security line defense. That's where you come into basic grounds, right? So with the test, tracks and set locations, I want you guys to design this. I want to see you guys come out of frame. I want your earth to come out of the digital. I want the digital come out of the frame. I want the paper to come out of frame. I want it to pop up and out, okay? Right? Because it doesn't look like much up close. But when you bring it in, you can actually see what's going on with its image, how it's traveling on its own setting of its own system to its locations. And if I change it again, you can actually see a building. The building, right? See? The VR system is very complicated. It's how you see in all track locations, right? So I just want you to understand how this all works. So that's basically the test. You put the white, the red, and the blue together, and you come in position locations. I want to see things come popping out of the screen. Okay? Copy? All right. So that's what it is. That's what the team is going to get into more now. They're going to get into the basic grounds of white, blue, and red because it positions your settings to cloak and dagger, keeps you in position and visibility into your security, into your force fields of yourself, right? So that's how you're able to see things come out of the screen. You can see it coming out. Okay? But don't look at this. Look at me. So it's the telepathy from one to another, right? But you never look at directly at something. You always go beyond something. So when you're looking straight ahead, okay, you're looking beyond. Okay, I'm not looking at eye view. The center operation is through the computer. So it's the eye center lines that direct and redirect, how you go from right and left, left and right, right? So never look straight line condition setting in set location. So right now I'm in the center of the computer, but I'm right through the computer. So it's kind of like traveling through a computer, traveling through a wire, traveling through a circuitry screen, traveling through an electrical grid. So it's all about understanding where your eyes are in provision of. You take that focal point, you focus on that, and basically you center yourself, you see your computer move back and forth. And then the more you focus, you see it come out and then comes to you through connection. That's how it works. Through telepathy, telekinesis, and telepathy. Now the team's coming into higher levels of telepathy now. Species are coming into 1/3 location of consciousness. Levels of line connection settings to a preview, precog, getting line direction to understand what they're seeing is everything behind their system. So you never look at somebody, you look through somebody. And the only way you understand that is how to line your division location, right? And it gets much easier when you just pick a focal point. Even look at the wall. I'm looking at the dimensional wall, but I see the computer, right? So I have my eyes here, but I have a laser tractions here, which is here, 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 here. Everything connects, everything connects, everything connects through laser. That's the VR system. So when I'm looking at the dimensional wall, okay, my computer is going like this, and it's going like this. It's coming out, it's doing this and doing that. And then if I drop down with my eyes back in the center point, okay, it's traveled back where it needs to be, which is this nothingness. So it basically goes back in its position, right? So I'm trying to get you guys to understand this, how this all works, because you have to go in and outside TVs, dimensional walls, high correlation lines and ground lines, wall lines, high center interference, trap positions, going through your line condition, your phone settings. It gets a lot more easier when you understand direct location of the system. All three calculations are coming out. It's coming out, right? So that's the basic, because I know when you guys go through 3-dimension, 4-dimension, 5th dimension, 6th dimension, 114th dimension, 1,144 dimension, 2 million dimension, doesn't matter. It's what you're seeing is what matters. It's how it's operated through the eye central system and how it sees everything through its VR system. All right. So when you're at the theater and you don't wear the glasses, right? What are you seeing? Static interference. Nothing is clear until you put on the glasses. And when you put on the glasses, everything opens up. You see the mind, you see the open space, you see open mind lines, you see electrical grid, you see electrical panels, but you see it coming at you. So when somebody throws something, if I throw something, right, I'm just going to throw a frisbee, all right? I'm going to show you how real it is. So to identify your system is the truly understanding what you're doing, right? So I'm creating a platform of its grounds, the powers, and the atmosphere. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a frisbee of a central setting, which is the core attractions. So it comes up, I grab it, and I threw it at you, right? So everyone, whoa, what was that? So it went right through the TV screen, right? So it's really interesting how you pop out of things, like out of a book. But you have to understand the grounds of the VR system. You have to understand the dimensions of the VR system. You have to understand the layers of the dimensional system, because it gets much easier once you see everything of design in the VR system. Okay? How everything pops out. Okay? We already had that with the holograms. If you see a structured building in position, you see it come out, right? But it's a spectrum correlations of in and out in audio. Everything aligns its communications. Everything comes out in its application like into its system. But it's traveling very, very fast. If you get a spin cycle, let's go through line communication cycles, in position of propellers, and this correlation lines attractions. It's really interesting when you actually see this go really, really fast. It creates its holographic image, right? So to make it come out, you have to add the white, which is the base. Then you have to add the blue, which is your force field. Okay, so, you can do anything in settings, but, you just have to truly understand how this all works in the VR system. It gets much easier when you understand the attractions. Start with allocations, and then you add the red, right? So you're getting a position of 0 ground once you get into the core. It gets much easier once you understand you through operations application, right? So once you understand that, it comes out of frame. Okay? It comes out of frame. It just comes out, right? It's ready to come out. See the intelligence? See the eyes? Eyes are there, right? So you're seeing a configuration of a face that just coming through, right? It's ready to come through, right? Because I got the grounds, okay? So you have to understand, when I say grounds, I'm talking about the VR grounds in position. You have to understand the cloak and dagger view, which is invisible. You have to understand the calculation force field, which is blue. And you have to understand your security line, which is protecting you in the VR system. Now, once you understand the 3 grounds in set locations, 1, 2, and 3 of track location system comes all levels of view in line condition setting to travel. So it gets much easier where you can just hold it like there and then see it spin around. That's how you're able to see the dimensional wall with all the coatings, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just doing this and just, all right, fixing this, turning that, take that out, put that in, place that, put it back, right? So it's already traveled, but I took it out, right? So understand the inner cycles and the outer cycles and the audio cycles. You have to understand how this works in the VR setting. It gets much easier when you understand the process of communication, all through indication. right? All right, so the team really has to understand these things because you're coming into your inception. Now, inception of the mind system is understanding how to basically, let's get into mind communications, classical lines of 2-track line settings, 2 operation line surface, 1 track lines, 3 weather line rotation service, get into all calculation lines and track calculation setting, box frame, mainframe. That's the team line communications setting and travel point graph communications. So platforms are 1, 2, and 3. So you guys are going to get more understanding now that you have to come into color in set locations, right? Once you come into color, it gets much easier to understand. So you see the image first, but then you see that it's coming out. So you take out the main frame and you take out the back frame, and the panels just basically slide off. 2 panel slide communication line centers, 4 track location line commits to its position, and center correlation lines attractions, right? Then the communication lines, cloak and dagger. Okay, you do the same thing, but you're adding blue, white, and red. All right, so that makes it pop out. It's like, let's go for the red line and track locations. It gets easier once you understand the attractions, right? And then you go into the blue. Okay, and then you see it come out of frame, which is really exciting. Okay, it's coming out of frame now, right? Okay, so it's a waving line center. So what I'm doing is accelerating. I'm opening up the charter waves. I'm opening up T reception. I'm opening up the core track locations. And then you actually see it come out. See, it's coming out. You see it coming out, right? Right? It's an illusion. It's an optical illusion. It's like, wow, it's coming at me, right? So that's what an image does. Okay, it's no difference when you start off where basically you get all these pages, you get 1,000 pages, and each one is a different frame. Now that's a millimeter of a second, or 15 millimeters of frames of a second, or 20,000 millimeters of a frame of a second, but it's all levels of set location to a frame. Understanding that through block frames, understanding that through correlation frames, understanding that through track frames. But when you're flipping the pages and you got 1,000 pages and a frame of a story, you're going, you can actually see what you've done and created through its image, right? So now we're at the point where we just draw the image and the image comes out of frame. There is no more main frame. So the actual image itself is free. And when it's free, it does whatever it wants, right? So it comes out of the optical illusion, how you see things, right? It's like a magic trick. But it's amazing how you can actually see it come out and then you put it back in. See? Getting in position to its location is truly understanding the relationships with you through your electrical system, how it works through operation, right? So again, let's go through 1 line signature into 3 panels of correlation. Separation of 2, right? 1 signal, line condition setting to travel. Okay? And again, so you do this again, you go through security line. Okay, you just go through the same design line, right? And then you go into the blue, right? You gotta add the blue, and then you go in your cloak and dagger. So you're ready to go in position attractions, direct signal. Then you go to the white. Okay, now you can do the white inside or outside, doesn't matter, as long as it's in the system of its hologram. You see, it's getting in relation, collaboration, and its partnership. Okay, so when you look at it, and I do this, you can see it coming out of frame. Okay, if I do this, see how it's doing it by itself? See what I'm doing? I'm just showing you guys how this all works. Take another 3D effect, 5-dimensional effect. This is 20 line settings, right? So it's 2 main track lines, that correlation lines of track interference, and the VD line rotations, and the correlation lines of that VR set location system to an AVR line condition setting to a CGI communication set location of green screen. See it coming out, right? See, it's amazing, isn't it? Right? So understanding the inception of everything around you is this formation of its own setting. Building that collaboration intercepts everything in influence. You're influencing, you already know the observation, your intent now. Intent changed the observation, which is now changing the thoughts. okay, which is now changing the correlation, which is now changing the tractions, which is putting you into its influence, which is putting you into manipulation, into its settings, right? But it's really interesting, you know. So I work with it in that correlations, right? So I'm building a partnership with it, but you can see it's changing, right? By itself, because it's showing you. You work with it or it works with itself, and it does everything of itself, but it's in its VR system. Everything that you see around you stays in the nothingness, which is the empty mind of its space of itself. And once you understand that, then you understand the awareness of its consciousness. And when you put it together, you got telepathy, using that through telekinesis. Then you come into telepathy. And the team has to recognize that all through set location, right? All right, so let's go to plasma screens, direct signals, cross-line connection settings of waving channels and correlation. Now, it's really interesting. Again, you have to go in color now because that's what the team's coming into. Your form is equations. I want you guys, your test is based on white, blue, and red. You start with that first, okay? And then you get in position locations in your settings, okay? Interactions. Know exactly what you're doing, okay? What you're drawing and why you're drawing it. How does this benefit me? How does it get to understand me? And all track locations. So this is an over cross, over line, over signal, over panel, and track to a system, showing you exactly what it can do in set location, right? Now it's in 3D, 3D. Now it's in 12D. Now it's in 15D. Now it's in 20,000D. You see how I changed the frame? But the recognition of the digital line rotation is the grounds, the powers, and the atmosphere of the digital pad, which is the 4 cycle lines of the 3 split and the anomaly. See that? 4 tractions, 4 division line screens, grounds, powers, and the atmospheres, and split lines and correlations of 3-line communication. 4 over 3 equals lines of 7. So there's always 7 in everything that you see. It has to be, because it's a DNA. Everybody has a set lines of a 7-line communication setting, which is the line communication system that tracks your calculation lines and notification system, which is a tracking number to line condition your chakras. Everything you see around you has its own indication setting and its own number. So everything starts off with 7. That splits non-alignment is location setting. With women, it's a triangulation box, how they see lines of communication to the computers because they're in position of the female cycle, not the male cycle. But they have both track location system, female cycle, male cycle, female cycle. Everybody has that. But the process of the triangulation of the male and process of communication is the yin, and position location is the yang, right? So the box are the yang to women and set locations. And so once you understand how that works, understand the DNA tractions. This goes back in line communication that E equals MC squared. Let's go through triangulation box screen. Okay, so we'll set position triangulation equals lines of box. Okay, so let's start with that correlation, right? So it's really basic understanding the ground communication of 3 lines of communication, split lines of anomaly, okay? All right, 4 track locations, split lines of anomaly in a triangulation, right? So female, male, all right? So get ready, connection lines, all levels of correlation setting to the female track calculation settings. They're going to see triangulation boxes now. So the triangulation line conditions box lines for the track interference and the 4-line waving cycles. That's how the TVs and anything computer sees you in frame now, all through triangulation lines, either GODs. All right, so that process communication of 2 waving panel and track location line setting. The triangulation comes in 1 center, 1 point traction, bringing direct line centers in a 2-line waving panel. That process the triangulations to go forward and line position and travel. Points, lines, of graph, triangulation goes into the center in cross locations into the male line rotation surface in track location above, and sets position of separation in track location below. Sets communicates in center correlation lines to its center of its platform and track location. Directs modification lines and track interference. Changes communication line screens to 1 center and track location. Direct lines correlation lines and 2 track location. Direct calculation lines changing the triangulation, bringing the triangulation into the center operation system. So we change the 3-line communication in calculation lines and 3 track line provision lines of cycles over cross location to its setting. There's you in the center. Boom. See the figure? And it's all through a female cycle and male cycle location. So, and again, when you go into that setting, you can split the anomalies into 3 traction And once you get into that, you go in again. So when you're drawing these things, you go through the whites, you go through track locations, just the basic rounds. Just start out with cross locations, say outlining cycles, say core track interference, say direct locations, direct line signals, modification, right? Start with the white, right? So the more it comes into its coloration, the more it comes out, it pops out, right? Let's go through security line, direct line signals, modification of 3 cycles, and generate the screen lines of triangulation line conditions, position of programs, application calculations. Directing line signals modifications. Now we go into blue. Blue lines of communication lets us cross location centers, travel position point graphs, center correlating settings, high operational setting. I'm putting the blue outside. Okay, so you can do the blue inside or outside, doesn't matter. As long as you have the 3 correlation setting in and out and audio, because they're wires, right? Into the VR setting, location to the system, and travel correlation setting attraction. Right? So when I do this and travels, then you're going to see it come out. Okay? It's the waving central line communicates and sending operation lines of surface into the VR sys locations. Now you see it coming out, right? Right? So it's really interesting how it all comes together, guys. See? Okay? Don't look at this, look at me. Okay? You want to see more? Don't look at this, don't look at me. Look at the wall. Okay? And then you're going to see it come out bigger and bigger and bigger and closer and closer and closer. Right? So the more you go back, the more you see. So it's a relation core that puts everything into the mind of inception, how you start to see things in all levels of its VR system in its dimensions of space and time. All right? That's through a female cycle and a male cycle. All right, line communication setting is the opposite triangulation, puts position of box line. So we go in a core track location. Now, why is it so important? You're probably asking me, do we have to add black and then the colors? Yes, you have to add black because that's space. See, that's space, right? So black is very important because that's space. That's 4 line division lines of space. Splits lines anomaly, that's 4 lines of 3 track location of space. Equals lines of correlation high interference is 43 set locations in position of platform communication lines of data processing. Okay, 43, right? So 4 generation line screens, that's can position 1 center, 2, 3, and 4 set location equal lines correlation settings, and 3 track location and division lines of cycles. Okay. Now in that position line connections, you always have to have black because it's space, right? Then you can add the red in center. Okay. You can add the center location of truth in position of false and the correlation lines attractions. So I'm just showing you guys how you guys are coming into coloration now in your T reception line calculations, right? All right, then you go into the blue. So what you're doing is you're adding electrical line cords in direct signals. Modificate line, let's just color it the line communication of the box frames into docking, correlation lines, attractions. Indirect lines, so that's over cross locations, outline cycles, line conditions of 3 settings. See it like location, right? Then you outline position, 4 line cycles, 0 line rotation, and 3 sublocations. Cross line connection setting. All right. Then we add the communication lines of red. You always have to add red to everything that you do in track location. All right, so then you have to add the cloak and dagger, right? So nobody can see what you're doing in attractions, right? All right, so we got outline, cross line, location, outline settings, and travel and point graph communications. Color it in line screen, travel line position, travel point graph communications. Now it's coming in. Okay, see? Right? Right? Everything knows exactly what, okay, so that position travel lines, that comes in calculation lines, is a male cycle. It says correlation high interference and triangulation line condition equals lines of female cycle triangulation, right? It says communication lines, center core centers, triangulation line condition at position is program. Calculate modify high triangulation lines is pi, and generation screen line, indirect line signals in position of 1, 2, and 3 track locations, cross line signal location of 1, 2, 3, and 4 set location of travel. It says calculate line interference into a line communication solar sail track location high position okay calculation. Now directing lines of signals. Now we go into security line, center line communication to its position. Then remember in communication, start off with the grounds into the black, the red, the blue, okay, and the white. Then you add your colors, dimensional layers. Pile it up, right? Again, that position lines attract lines. We're going correlation center interference, track location position. Then it gets much easier through the data processing of your 12 DNA, of coloration, of rainbows. So the more colors you add, the more the image comes out of the screen. All right, that's what a T receptor is. See, I always knew that. And I understand each box frame is a correlation lens or track line that has a simulation graph communication that's connected to its code frequency, that's connected to its codecs, that's communicated to its system, to its binary transistors, the resistance location, to its operation cycle, that puts everything in simulation coming out through traction. Okay? All right, so in that position location, let's go with the blue line, screen line, adaptation lines of service. There we go. Boom. Now it's coming out. Right? Now it's coming out. See? You see it coming out now, right? So what is everything doing through its audio signal? What is everything doing in position and correlation? What is everything doing in its VR system? Everything has its senses. Everything has a core. Everything has attraction. Everything has a memory. Everything has a correlation. Everything has nothing of its awareness of a constellation. Right? 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 Everything. Right? Understand everything that sounds is everything in track locations, right? Don't look at me. Look here now. I'm trying to show you guys how you go through 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3. Never look at this. Never ever look in front view. Always look beyond, right? Then you see the space coming at you. Space comes at you, right? That's how everything comes out of the frame, right? Right? So it's really interesting when you see that. So never look at anything flat. To see its position is to see me, then you see this, right? If you look at the dimension line connection descending of the wall, then you see this, okay? Then you see it spinning around, right? So it's never in a core track location of a line attractions, right? It's a Fibonacci. Everything's a Fibonacci because it's spinning. Everything has a spin. Everything has a spin. Everything has a spin, all right? Okay. Now the digital badge is confused now because I didn't add the blue. I only had the cross locations. So I have to add the red and the white, right? It says, hey, wait a minute, you got to finish the drawing. All right. Center core system, they go on the white cloud line center interference. And then we go into different colors, right? There it is in traction. Now it's tapping. See, now it goes back in position by itself. See, boom, poof, back to itself, which is Home Depot. All right, track location setting. All right, so in that provision, it gets much easier to understand what's going on through the TV reception line screen, how you see a computer line screen. So never ever look at something straight. Always look beyond everything, right? So if you don't want to look at me, look at the dimensional wall, then you see me and you see the digit pad moving by itself. That's how it works. It's like your hand. Don't look at communication of the hand, look at me, then you see 8 fingers, right? See, look at my hand, see? It's an illusion, isn't it? More hands, more fingers. See, look at the fingers. Look at the fingers. There's more than 4 fingers, guys. It's an illusion, right? To you. But when you're in the VR system, it's not an illusion. It's a reality of a real. Getting the communication setting puts everything in track location to a system. So let's start off with this location system first. You see this coming out, right? It's like, wow, cool. So that's where you start off, the black, the red, the blue, and the white. Then you add your rainbow. So let's go through a forming line, screen line, direct line signals, add coloration lines of pathogens and traffications. Always start with black because it's your space. You need your space. So it's like this. Let's start with this, right? And then you add this. Oh, I think we're getting it now. All right, so this is the in, the out, and the audio. In, out, audio. In, out, audio. So space first, okay? In, out, audio. So it can be either security line or force line. It doesn't matter. But as long as you are in position of travel. Correlate track interference in white puts position line to center. 4 track location provision, right? Now let's add green. Oh, we're adding green now. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, let's add gold. Okay, let's add gold. All right. So now we're coming into the rainbow, right? All right, so in that track location line settings, let's add brown. Okay, see what we're coming into now? Full correlations of the VR settings, they're all coloration. It's set design. But you got to see it through this. It's layers and layers and layers and layers. Okay, starts applications. Right? Data and files and track location. Data and files and track location. Data and files and track location. Okay, so it's a pileup, right? So when you come closer to it, you can actually see what's going on. Each line's divisional layers of dimensions of space and time. All right, so let's go through formula. So it's really exciting, right? When you get into more lines of signals, really understand what's inside a TV reception, really understand what's inside a wire. Wire is a three central system. It also has the same thing. Everything has to, because everything is the VR setting. So it has three chords. Interactification starts off division. And calculations starts with that, three wires, right? Now, understanding the core setting high interference, you have to understand how it communicates to its own setting. Right? That position lines is black over red over blue or blue over red, doesn't matter. Then you add the colors, right? Here's purple. Okay, 4 wires of correlation, right? Let's line position locations and settings of yellow. Okay, yellow communication, right? Let's cross the line yellow in the center. Whoa, it's getting interesting. Let's over cross location. Whoa, let's see, you can get more interesting. All right, so it's over line communications back into purple. Whoa, this is more interesting. Then we go into green. Oh, we got green line center locations, right? Then we get in position lines high center brown. Oh, okay, that's over line cross locations. And then we get in positions. Now you can go back to black. That's an overcross line condition setting to travel. That's totally fine. But you don't want to put too much black in the front line because it overlines the correlation setting to your system UVR locations. Overline cross calculation setting to travel. Point lines of graph comes out through sequence. Right? You can actually see it coming out now. Right? It's really interesting, right? So it's platform here, and then just wires. Just hanging. Just wires hanging, right? And then basically got to put it back in position. All right. So the more you see the hologram, the more it gets easier in the VR setting. Starting out with 3 grounds, a correlation setting, attractions, and direct signals, right? Female cycles, male cycle, correlation setting, the position location of white, red, and blue. Now let's add color to that attractions. Let's go line communication of purple. Now making sure that if in your purple, you go into correlation lines that outline communication. Getting higher correlation lines. Let's outline the cycles, outline cross locations, setting to all calculation. Right? Different lines of travel and track locations, right? Because you're adding purple, right? You can add any color. It doesn't have to be in order. But what has to be in order is the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres. Okay? The space comes first, which is black because it's inside you, right? So once you understand that, then you understand how to use the magnetic line screen location of the electrical system that's in correlation lines of traffication to your electrical system, because it all starts with electrical lines and communication lines and high center interference and diffusion. Getting in that position to its location setting gets a lot more easier on track locations. How everything comes out in traction. Okay, isn't that wild? You know, it's pretty amazing how basically when a TV wants to communicate with you, it's sending out letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols to you. But you have to understand the mechanism of what's happening now. The TV itself is coming to you. So what it's doing, this is you in traction. Let's go in purple. This is a TV, flat screen, right? Okay. You got to stand in track location, right? And this is you in set correlation. That's you, right? So what's happening in position location, the TV is coming to you now through traction. It's coming to you. So that's what it is. It's the reverse. So this is where it comes in calculation to its out of its mainframe in traction. So it has a both way line setting. Okay. So it's really interesting when you actually look at this and you want to see it come out again. So I'm purple now. So I still have to add the space. The space is now in the inside because it overrides the system to all levels of its universal line connection setting that overcross the signals of its hologram system in track location. So in that position to its locations, you have to understand how it doesn't do anything in calculations until you understand the overrides, overdrives, and line condition setting of lacing lines of communication. Getting that direct signals gets you in all levels how you modify the system locations and geometric lines of design. The process of communication line setting that opens all signal lines, communication setting, once you understand how to identify your holographic city of set design. Hoo-ah. Okay. All right. So once that's in a correlation, then we go into red. Now the red in position also goes inside because that's the security that you're protecting. So I'm just showing you more lines and more structured lines communication to its VR system. How everything is done in track location. Okay? It just becomes more real to the VR setting, right? And then you add the whites. Now the white can go outside. That's the outer rim. It's an outer rim location of its hologram. And you too, you got to go in the line condition setting because it's identifying you through code frequency and track location. Sending that communication lines across this line screens all lines of all communications in position process. Right? Cool, right? All right. All right. So now we add the blue. Now the blue is the outline, which is your force communication, which is your force field. All right. Security is inside lines when you get into more structured design line. It gets complicated more when you go to higher levels of structure and location system to your VR setting and correlation lines of traction. Okay. Amazing, right? So what's missing in this equation? You. You got to blend into it, right? Inside correlation attractions. All right, and then white line has the outline correlation. All right, but you need the black. So the black is inside correlation. That's you attractions. Mechanism high correlation setting interference VR location. Now you're ready to go. All right. So when I do this, it's traveling, right? You can see it coming out. Okay, see what's amazing? How it creates its own lines of anomaly, correlation, traction center interference. It's really amazing when you understand more lines of the VR system. It comes out of more lines that pops right out at you. Okay, I'm just showing you, because when you're looking at it, it doesn't look like it's popping out. But when you look at it in a distance, the distance is not here. The distance is here. So always never look at something straight view. Okay, you're looking at a flat surface. When you're looking at this, you're not seeing anything. You're not seeing anything behind or up or down, across location, anything with geometric, right? So if you take your eyes off this and you look at me, you'll see it like this, like this, like this, like this. Oh, it disappeared. It's gone. See what happened? It disappeared on its own. So I'm just showing you, when you do that, it's amazing how fast it can spin on itself and create its own anomaly, create its own setting of its VR system. And where is it now? Back to the nothingness. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how powerful it is in track locations. When you start identifying everything that you see, it gets much easier. Okay. So when you're looking at things, don't look directly at them. Look beyond. Look beyond. The right and the left are in the center. They cross over. Left and right cross over. So what's your hologram? Right? You're seeing a hologram needs a platform. So it can have a stand. So an XC1000 needs a docking or it can't land. Okay? So it's a cross signal. It's got to be like this. So when an XC1000 comes in, it lands. It can't be like this. It will fall through. So you understand how it directs and redirects. It crosses over. Right? So once you understand that, you have a distance between 150 feet from each other. Right, from a highway. So when you cross this way, you're good to go. If not, you hit right up head on, right? So you got to be careful with your highways. You don't want to do this because it's liquid, it's plasma, right? So that's next in the equation. But I'm just showing you exactly how to get into the line communication setting to electrical line communication of wires and tractions. When you have a structure line division lines, this stands in position location of structure. That's it. That's the structure. And it's moving very fast inside. That's basically all timelines at once. You're standing still. That's what's standing still. But the position lines at correlation setting is moving very fast inside location. Inside. Okay? So nothing comes outside of structure. Okay? That's an error, right? XC1000 comes out, scans position, puts it back in setting. On platform, right? So you have to understand the holographic structure, your frequencies now, because you understand location, your audio lines. Puts everything in track location system, in track location, your settings, and all lines, all communicates in the system, and all calculations setting and travel. Okay. So what you're doing is you're building layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. And once you get into that, then you get into the numbers. Now, numbers are tricky because, again, you have to go through the ground lines and calculation settings. So it's kind of like getting in position of your inventories and turning it into bold. Let's start with line communication setting, high center interference and location system. Let's start with the 1. There's a 1, right? That's 1, right? That's 1. Okay. So what happens when you add this in track location? Right? What happens when you add track location? Okay, you're adding depth. You're adding depth. Okay, you're adding travel. Okay, and then space and time comes back to you in track location. Right, you're adding depth to the drawing. Right, so that's what it is when it comes into dimensions: second dimension, third dimension, zero gravity dimension. Doesn't matter. What matters is to understand the basic grounds, how to get it in position of settings, how to bring things out of its equation, out of a TV reception or a computer or a phone, like you see general popping out of your phones anyway. So when you get into that position, it gets a lot more easier through tractions, right? All through dimension line screens. Now you can add color line screens at location of green. Okay, but you also can add numbers. But you got to be careful with the numbers. You don't want to change the factors, correlation lines, or the structure lines of design, right? So we've got a green line outline correlation. All right, so we have a numbered line sequence. Let's record the trigger interference. In that line, communication settings of platforms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 locations. All right, inline center locations, right? So we added 0 lines of communication, correlation lines, high center locations, and tractions, and 1 setting. Okay, graph calculations, right? So this is more of the matrix, guys. It's complicated stuff. So I'm just showing you platforms and communication setting. Let's add a 2, let's add a 1, let's add a 3, and let's add a 4 in track location. All right, then you add line conditions 0, 1, 1, 1, and a location of 0, 0, and 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Triangulation, you can add a box, you can add a question, you can add percentage. You have to know what you're doing through your inventories. Add another box, add a sequence line screen, location of Fibonacci, right? So, when you understand more levels of zeros and ones and inventory correlation lines attractors, and again, you have to add the communications of blue and red. That's the basic around the VRS applications, how you see interpretation of receptors. Interact position to its operation line surface. All right. Okay. So now we're just going to illuminate the ground lines and correlation lines of security. Okay. Number sequence, number panels, number correlation line connection setting to travel. Okay. So then you're going to see the pie come out. You can pretty much see it already. All right. So let's go into blue line screen. Direct lines, modification line centers, over across location setting, electrical line communication fusion, direct lines, calculation lines of zeros and 1 location setting. Now you can actually see more of it coming out, right? So that's line communication setting. That's line communication at all levels, cloak and dagger. Now you're actually going to see the pie come out. It's ready to go. It's ready to central. It's ready to travel. It's application. Right? You can see it coming in position to its location, and you also can see the numbers moving. It's really interesting once you really understand what you're doing in the VR setting. Okay? Don't look at this, look at me. Don't look at me, look at the wall. All right? Then you'll see everything. Okay? Because when you're looking something straight view, you can't really see anything. But when you're in the VR system, you're always in scope. You're always in position, but you're not looking through mainframes anymore. You're just looking in the VR. So when you understand that, everything fades away and you don't see anything through box and frame anymore. You don't see anything through geometric. You just see everything what it is, which is its nothingness, its application. It stays in the empty mind of everything, which is massive, everything of equation, right? All right, so I'm just giving you guys a little bit of understanding what the team is coming into in line connection setting to really understand all levels of view through volume, fast, and velocity. You have to understand the acceleration to line communication settings. Starting off with black, 1 wire indicator, line interference, waving cycles, 1 center, 1 track location, cross line calculation setting, open signals, open panel, open communication interference, travel correlation lines, attractions. Sets communication lines of triangulation, position of box, square root, track location. That is a square root. See, I can change any information, but you see it as Fibonacci. See, I gotcha, right? It's the optical illusion how you see things, guys, right? Because now it's this, now it's this, now it's this. right? It's the eyes of deceiving, okay? How you come into that. And that's processing how to control your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions in all communication setting. If I set a core center and a track location of provision, you say this is a Fibonacci, right? This is a Fibonacci. I say it isn't. It's something else. No, but it is. It's a Fibonacci. No, it's not. You see it's a Fibonacci, but my program says it isn't, right? It's around correlation lines attractions in a flywheel line condition setting, platforms communication cross lines, crossing line signals, upline cross line high location setting to a flux communication of a capacitor and track location. That's what it is, right? So I see it right away. So when you see that, the mind's already here in traction. Your center core system is understanding the involvements of you in location, which is you through the body track location in setting. So in position, the avatar comes closer and closer and closer to you. Your body comes closer and closer to you. You come into the center operation of you on all communicate to a system, right? And again, you color it in. Now, when you color it in, it's now into the VR setting. That's outline correlation into white. Platform communication centers. Get a direct line signals and applications. Send the operation line circle and application first. And then we go into position of blue. Now, blue can go inside or outside, doesn't matter, as long as it's there, right? You have to stand the basic grounds and application your settings and attraction to the VR. Then you go into red. Red lines its cross line security line communication to a setting, and then set location to the system. That puts all levels on you in position. Let's add green line center. Or the track line communications provision. The center core calculations, right? Okay, now what's coming out? What's coming out? You see something coming out, right? What's coming out of this frame? This. See, you can see it coming out, right? Put it back in. So when you start to understand with Iron Man, where he goes like this, all right, with his arm, and he takes it out, and he takes that and puts that away, he's looking at the hologram of a copy and paste of his arm itself. He modifies it, copies and pastes, and basically retracts the correlation center track lines. Basically, it gets in a picture frame correlation, puts it on file, and then good to go, right? What it looks like. So you look at it, you can paint it, do whatever you want with it, right? So it starts off with this, like this, throw that away. Now you got the holographic arm, right? So I'm just showing you what the team's coming into, more reality, and how to see more of the VR line setting, because it's nothing but a TV reception and communication. Getting that direct signal is knowing exactly what you're looking at and what is looking at you, what's looking back at you, okay, and how they look back at you. You guys ever wonder about that? How intelligence is actually looking at you, how they see you? Isn't that interesting? Through colors and lights? Pay attention to that. It's very important, right? So once you understand that, everything comes in better formations of screens. Setting communication lines, high track location setting, more levels of coloration line communication system. It gets into a coloration screen, direct lines of signals, gets you in position interactions. Okay, so that's cross-line communication. One center correlation lines of pi generation screen. Center core lines, center location, solar sail. Next, like the communication line, center high track location line, center electrical line communication line, center interference trap, and central piece calculated line track location of a leaf. That's a leaf. Now, let's green lines. Let's color it this green line. That's application, right? Let's go into the red line correlation, interactions, and direct signals. That's out cross location centers. Okay, it's always ways to bring things out, guys. You just have to know exactly how to communicate with the intelligence. Freight communication, metric lines, and screen lines, adaptation lines, and surface. This position is location of its HD, higher definition. All right, so line, center, high interference. Then we go in cloak and dagger, outline, cross line communication setting. All right, now you're going to see it come out. All right, now you're going to see it move. Okay, now you're going to see it fly. See, it's out, right? So what you got to do, it's delicate, right? So it's like taking both ends, like this location, taking it out gently, and hold it in your hand. It's right there. I can feel the energy. I can feel the wetness. from nature. I can smell it, right? It's all your senses. It's heavy. It's getting heavier. It's getting heavier because I'm adding mass. I'm adding mass. So if I add another dimensional, I got to put it back in, right? I can't just override the system. I got to put it back in. Now it's back in, right? All right. Center communication line, center interference. Let's go correlation, center track, and position location, operating location settings. Let's go into gold. Gold cross, one center, line position of 2 track location at 3 centers calculation. Right? So it's more depth, right? Depth and width, depth and width, depth and width. All right. So that's another color is line communication lines of orange. More depth, more depth, more depth. Because it's becoming more real, right? So let's take it out again, right? Hold it in. Now it's really heavy. The mass is heavy. Okay. Right? It's a leaf, but it's got mass. It's a hologram. It's a structure. It's the design. It's a design. Okay. So I got to put it back in. Now it's back in, right? Cool, eh? You see the depth and the width and the length. Okay. That's what it is. And then you start to see like this. Look at that. Everything is a different angle how you see things. Right? Try to see it in all 4-point center location settings of travels. It's traveling very, very fast in communication setting, but you don't see a straight line. You see it moving. It's constantly moving, and where it needs to go in line communication to its system. It knows exactly what it's doing when it's going through its own travels and making the location to its setting. It's knowing exactly what's happening in position locations, but now it's in your directions, floating around in your system location where you are in traction. Now it's back in division by itself. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild, Chamber? So once you give something depth and width and length, then you start to understand what's going on. The understanding how you can take things out and put things in. Okay? Because you understand the structure. You understand the GOD. You understand the definition. You understand the width, the length, okay, the mass of equation at all different angles through light. And when it goes through light, right, it's pretty amazing. See? It goes through light. It's on a different line, different path. Okay, so it formulates into something else. Okay, see, it's something else now. See? Everything's a different angle. But everything crosses all through line communication all at once in all timelines, right? But the more width and the more length, you understand more of its communication. Right? You really see it come out to life, right? It's bringing things to life out of a picture because it's not a picture. Now, I can start here, right? You see it, right? I can take it out. I'm holding it, right? I'm holding it. Okay, it's getting heavy, right? Now, if I add more mass, it's going to get more heavy, and my hands are going to drop, right? So I can do this because I see it as a hologram, and then I just let it go, and then it circulates and goes back in position. Okay. So this is a higher level for the team to understand now because they're starting to see more lines of holographic settings, how they see everything of design, and all calculations, modifications, setting to its hologram. Okay. It's powerful, isn't it? Coming into color, right? That's why I wanted you guys to start off in snowy graph interference of black. But the team's past that now. Now you're in position of the settings of color. You're coming into more lines of communications to understand how you can take things out anywhere you want in position of travel in a VR setting. Okay? And that's what it is. Okay? All right. Once you understand that, you don't have to be a professional drawer, but you have to truly understand the colorations of you. If you understand the colorations of you, you understand you through depth and width and mass and how you are connected to everything in application. Let's start off with the position lines of you. Let's open track applications. This is just you, right? All right, so let's go around signals. We'll do the red line outline. Okay, it's outline communication. As long as you have it there, it's fine, right? Okay, you go around on a complete cycle and set location. There's red, right? All right. Now we're gonna basically vortex. And so what we're gonna do in track location, we're gonna vortex through lines of blue. Okay. Vortexing is basically understanding how to go from one point to the next. Okay. So it's kind of like you're here, and then you're here, and then you're here, and then you're back here, and you're over here, and then you're over here, and then you're over here, right? So you want back to center. That's what the team's coming into. So when you see structured lines of communication and anybody walking, you're going to see them going back and forth, back to center. That's how the perception is changing. All right, so line communication lines of cloak and dagger, track locations, upper line, cross line communication interference, travel position of travel, or sensitive travel. Then we go in position lines attractions. All right, so we have the green line and travel communication setting and travel point graph calculations, right? Direct signals, right? All right, so we're going to color the communication line screen. You're going to color line screen high center interference all black. Right? Because that's the space, right? You guys create the space inside. This is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. You go to higher levels of mind, you're actually creating the space inside you. You're creating the space inside you. That's you in space. This is you in length and width. This is you in expansion. This is you in longitude. This is you in bandwidth. Okay? So you just keep growing. Right? You just keep growing around and round and round, but you stay in the center. That's all you do. You don't go anywhere. You stay in the center. So you just get bigger and bigger. Stay in the center. You can stay in the same color. It doesn't matter. Right? What do you turn in your correlation setting track location your settings of? Flower recognition setting location, center line communication, center arc location of you in space. Da 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 da. Right? Look at that. Out. Take the figure. Right there. You see it? Okay. Now I'm going to let it go. Right? Now it's walking. Right? It's walking. Let's create the path. Da, 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 da. Travel three-line communication. Right? Set communications back at center. Now it's back. Right? Now it's going to travel. And set locations and directions. Let's correlate center interference. Three set locations. Sun and the moon comes back. Now, when you get in the sun and the moon, and it's in the VR system, it's very powerful, right? So you're going to see it disappear in a portal. We're going to go through gold screens. All right, this is what a portal is to the sun and the moon. Creates a portal, right? An opening, right? So you saw it go in, then you saw it go out, right? As long as you don't look at this and you look at me or the wall, you're good to go. Don't look at this. Look at me. You're looking beyond. You're always looking beyond. You never look directly at something. So when you're looking directly at something, you're looking beyond something. But it's understanding how you use your scanning, how you go from direct, redirect, right over left, left over right, guys. That's the only way you're going to be able to understand how to see this in the VR system. Your perception sees everything until the perception is gone, and then you're just all levels of the nothingness of the VR system, right? Because it's not a perception if you're looking at something. Okay? What you're looking at is the VR, where you are. So when you understand that, then you understand how it is, how things can come in and out of frame at track location. Okay? Anything through settings, right? I can even take out the wormhole, right? It's very simple. Let's create the communication lines. I'll show you the wormhole. You'll see it in my hand. Don't look at my hand, look at me. I want you guys to understand how this works now, all right? All right, so gold cycles, correlate to track interference, outline cycles, communication, shift line communication. Now we're going to go through black line centers and travel correlation line insight calculations, one line rotation surface and track location. All right, now, okay? Now I'm just doing this, right? But you can see it. You can actually see the connection to the portal. You can actually see the wormhole. You can actually see. So once you understand more lines and settings, don't look at the picture. Look at me. Keep looking at me. Then you see the center core system. Okay, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Right. So once you see that, it gets more understanding how to go through the portal. Right. It's really fascinating when you understand what a black hole is. I got you guys in attractions, but you have to really understand how it works with the sun and the moon, because that's what a sun and moon does. It creates this portal of communication. Okay? It creates this portal. Okay? So I'm going to take it out. Okay, it's there. Okay? It's there. Don't look at this. Look at me. You want to see more? Don't look at me. Look at the wall. Right? I'm going to put it back. Now it's back in position. It's rotating where it needs to be in position of locations, building a collaboration, a friendship, and a partnership in said location. Okay? Pretty wild, eh? But it's amazing how you see a leaf when you add length and width and depth and longitude and latitude, because it's just a computer program. That's all it is. When you see a leaf, that's what a leaf looks like. And then you add the zeros and ones. Zeros and one correlation lines are lace line communications. Zeros and ones are online connections. They're in between cycles. That's the binary correlations and intertravels. Interapplications, right? Okay, so zeros are the indicated lines and grounds, which is the ozone. Ones are the correlations set in the ground line communication to a setting. So I'm just showing you exactly. As soon as you add one, it changes the track location. Right? So it adds more depth, doesn't it? When you add numbers. When you add colors and numbers, you're adding line communication setting, and you have to understand how it comes with the numbers, it comes in the pixelations, and then it comes into the hologram. And when you see it through the hologram, you're blown away, because it all comes together in a computer frame of an operation system and track location. Show you how this is all done when you actually see it in the VR setting. Okay? And there you go. Look at that. Look at that. It's a leaf. It's alive. It's zeros and ones. It's all coloration. It's got depth. And if you look really close, you can see the intelligence of its face right there. See? It's bringing the intelligence. And there you go. Right? You see more depth to it. Because you added zeros and ones. Pixelation, graph, communications, and its hologram. There it is, guys. Whoa! It's exciting, isn't it? So that's what the team's coming into. All right, so we're done. So hopefully you guys got a better understanding of how this all works. We went 1 hour, lines at 2-2 track location, the line setting height interference of 10 seconds in travel. So that puts everything into your setting and correlation line communication system to VR. Adios. Doo-doo.